A few years ago, I met Mr. Ernest, a 78-year-old man full of energy. He lived alone in his house, tended his little garden, and still enjoyed going out for a walk every morning. But one day, while going from the bedroom to the bathroom, he tripped over a loose rug. In a matter of seconds, what seemed like an insignificant detail ended in a fall that caused a hip fracture. From that moment on, his life changed completely. What had once been independence and freedom turned into a long and painful recovery, marked by the fear of falling again. Mr. Ernest's story is not unique. Every year, millions of older adults around the world suffer falls inside their own homes. And what is most worrying is that many of those falls end in fractures, prolonged hospitalizations, or even the permanent loss of autonomy. A stumble in the kitchen, a slip in the bathroom, or a misstep on the stairs can have devastating consequences. As a physical therapist, I have seen these cases up close. I know what it means for a person who has always been independent to have to depend on others after a fall. And I also know what it means for families. Constant worry, high medical costs, and the sense that it all could have been avoided with simple precautions. That is why today I want to speak to you directly. This video does not aim to scare you, but to give you real tools to protect yourself or a loved one. The good news is, you do not need major investments or costly renovations. With just 3 simple changes at home, you can drastically reduce the risk of suffering a fall in the next month. Over the next few minutes, I will show you what those changes are, why they work, and how to apply them easily in your own home. My goal is that by the time you finish listening, you will feel confident that you can keep moving with confidence and calm in the place where you should feel most protected, your own home. Before we begin, I would like to get to know you a little more. Tell me in the comments, how old are you and where are you watching from? I would love to read you and know from which corner of the world we are sharing this moment. The invisible danger of falls at home. When we talk about health in older age, we usually think about the heart, blood pressure, or diabetes. But there is a silent enemy that is present every day inside our homes: falls. And the most surprising thing is that most people do not see them as a serious threat until it is already too late. After 60, the body undergoes natural changes that make a stumble have far more serious consequences than in youth. The bones, for example, become more fragile due to the loss of bone density. What for a young person amounts to a bump or a simple bruise can, for an older adult, end in a hip, wrist, or even spinal fracture. And we all know that a fracture at that age is not just a broken bone. It can mean months of immobility, loss of independence, and in some cases, complications that are never fully overcome. On top of that, reflexes no longer respond as quickly. When we are young, if we trip, we instinctively put our hands out or regain our balance. But after 60, that protective mechanism becomes slower. The body no longer reacts with the same speed, and what used to be a scare is now a direct fall to the floor. Recovery also changes. The body's cells take longer to regenerate, muscles lose strength, and balance takes longer to return to what it was. A fall that seemed mild can turn into weeks of bed rest, and we all know what it means to remain without moving for too long. The muscles weaken, the risk of clots increases, and the person feels more insecure than before, which heightens the likelihood of falling again. I remember the case of Mrs. Teresa, a 72-year-old woman. She considered herself strong, active, and totally independent. One day she slipped in the kitchen because there was a little water on the floor. It was a simple fall, nothing dramatic, but that fall caused a wrist fracture. From then on, she could not cook or clean. She needed help to get dressed, and hardest of all, she lost confidence in herself. She stopped walking around the house with assurance and began to avoid moving too much for fear of tripping again. An accident that seemed minor ended up taking away part of her autonomy. Stories like Mrs. Teresa's are repeated every day in different homes, and the most painful thing is that many of those falls could have been avoided. A clear floor, good lighting, or a firm support in the bathroom would have made all the difference. So I want you to hold on to one central idea. Most falls are not inevitable accidents, but preventable events. It is not about living in fear, but about living with caution. A small change at home can mean the difference between continuing to walk freely or depending on others for the simplest tasks. This is the true invisible danger of falls. You do not see them coming, but when they happen, they can change a person's life in a single instant. And the best thing we can do is get ahead of them before it is too late. The first change: floors and rugs. If we think about a safe home, we often imagine locked doors, sturdy windows, and strong locks. But we rarely think about what is right under our feet: the floor. And yet, that is where one of the greatest dangers for older people begins. Loose rugs, electrical cords crossing a hallway, or a slippery floor can be invisible traps waiting for the perfect moment to make us trip. The dangerous part is that they are almost always present in places we use daily: the bedroom, the living room, or the hallway that connects to the bathroom. When you are 20 or 30, a stumble ends in a laugh. But once you are past 60, that same stumble can have irreparable consequences. I remember Mr. Manuel very well, a 79-year-old patient. He had a small rug at the entrance to his home, one of those you use to wipe your shoes. He never thought it could be dangerous. One morning, as he left his bedroom, his foot caught on a raised edge. The fall was immediate. He fractured his hip and had to undergo a complicated surgery. The hardest part was not just the operation, but everything that came afterward: months of rehabilitation, constant pain, and above all, the loss of confidence. Mr. Manuel, who used to walk with pride and energy, began to walk with fear. A simple rug completely changed his quality of life. Situations like Mr. Manuel's are more common than we imagine. The floor of the house, which should be a safe place, can become a threat if precautions are not taken. That is why the first change I recommend as a physical therapist is to thoroughly inspect everything on the floor of your home. The most straightforward advice is to secure all rugs to the floor with anti-slip tape, or better yet, remove them altogether. Many times we think a rug makes the home cozier, but we must ask whether it is worth risking safety for an aesthetic detail. It is also essential to make sure the hallways are clear, no cords crossing from one outlet to another, and no stacked boxes that force you to go around them. Every obstacle on the floor is an invitation to trip. Another important point is the floor surface itself. Floors that are too smooth or waxed can turn into skating rinks. In these cases, a practical solution is to use cleaning products that do not leave slippery residues and, if possible, place anti-slip strips in critical areas like the kitchen or bathroom. And here, I want to give a special warning. Walking barefoot, which many people find more comfortable, is not always safe. A bare foot does not have the same grip as proper footwear, especially on cold or smooth surfaces. In addition, reflexes are no longer as quick, and a slip can be serious. The ideal is to wear closed shoes with rubber, non-slip soles, even inside the home. It may seem like a small detail, but it makes a big difference. In short, the first change that can save you from a fall is to look down and make sure every step in your home is firm and safe. Removing or securing rugs, clearing hallways, and wearing proper footwear are simple but powerful decisions. Remember, it is not about having a pretty home, but a safe one, where you can walk without fear and with the peace of mind that every step is a step toward confidence and independence. The second change: home lighting. Imagine it is 3 in the morning. You wake up needing to go to the bathroom. You get up half asleep, your eyes still used to the dark, and you move down the hallway almost by feel. In those seconds, any shadow seems like an obstacle, and any object out of place can become a trap. What should be a simple route can turn into a fall that changes your life forever. Home lighting is a factor that is often underestimated, but it is key to preventing accidents. As we age, vision loses sharpness, the pupil reacts more slowly to changes in light, and contrasts become harder to perceive. This means that a dim hallway or a poorly lit staircase poses a much greater danger than we imagine. I have seen countless falls that happened in the middle of the night. I remember Mrs. Teresa, a 74-year-old patient. One night she got out of bed and, as always, walked to the bathroom. The problem was that she relied on the hallway light, which was too dim and with the switch far from her reach. On her way, she tripped over a low side table she almost never used. The impact was strong, a shoulder fracture that cost her months of rehabilitation. When I asked what she thought about what had happened, she told me with tears in her eyes, "If I had had a light nearby, none of this would have happened." The truth is that proper lighting is one of the simplest and at the same time most effective changes to prevent falls at home. Placing night lights in strategic outlets, especially in hallways, bathrooms, and bedrooms, can make a big difference. These are small, low-consumption lamps that stay on all night and provide enough clarity to move safely. Another highly recommended option is motion sensors. These devices turn on the light automatically when they detect movement. They are ideal for stairs, entryways, or rooms where people do not always remember to switch on the light. They also prevent the need to fumble for switches in the dark, which greatly reduces risk. It is also important to review the placement of switches. A common mistake in many homes is that light controls are too far away or poorly located. The recommendation is to have an accessible switch when entering and leaving every room. In the bedroom, the ideal is to be able to turn on the light from the bed without taking unsafe steps in the dark. I remember that when Mrs. Teresa returned home after her recovery, her family decided to take action. They installed plug-in night lights in the hallways, placed a sensor in the bathroom, and added a switch next to her bed. Weeks later, she told me that for the first time in a long time, she could get up at night without feeling afraid. She said, "Now I know I can walk calmly. The house helps me instead of setting traps." That small adaptation gave her back confidence and helped her regain part of the independence she had lost. Lighting is not just a matter of comfort, it is a safety tool, and safety is what builds confidence. A well-lit home not only prevents falls, it also offers peace of mind. Because knowing you can get up in the night, move freely, and return to bed without shocks is a gift for your calm and for your health. In short, the second change I recommend is to make sure every corner of your home has enough light to guide your steps. Night lights, accessible switches, and motion sensors are not luxuries. They are investments in safety and well-being. Remember, darkness can hide dangers, but a light turned on can give you back the freedom to move without fear. The third change: furniture and supports. When we think about falls inside the home, we often blame the floor or the lack of light. However, furniture also plays a fundamental role. A poorly placed piece, a sharp corner, or an unstable chair can become silent enemies waiting for the moment to make you trip. Low furniture, for example, is a common trap. Coffee tables, stools, or ottomans that barely reach the knee often go unnoticed in the dark or when we are distracted. The problem is that a small hit to the leg can make you lose your balance in a matter of seconds. Likewise, furniture corners can cause serious wounds if a person falls on them. What for someone young is just a bruise can, for an older adult, be a deep injury or even a fracture. Another major risk is unstable chairs. Many homes are full of chairs with loose legs, overly light frames, or worse, with wheels. An older adult who sits on a swivel chair without brakes runs a huge risk of falling. And we should not even talk about trying to get up from a low armchair. The lack of leg strength means standing up takes more effort, increasing the danger of imbalance. The good news is that there are simple, accessible solutions. One of the most important is installing grab bars in strategic places, such as the bathroom. Wet surfaces are a constant risk, and having a firm point to hold onto can prevent a serious fall. Handrails on stairs are also very useful, even in single-story homes, where there are sometimes level changes or loose steps that catch you by surprise. Another practical recommendation is to rearrange furniture to create wide pathways. We often accumulate small tables, magazine racks, or decorations that, although they look nice, get in the way. I have seen cases where simply moving a sofa a few centimeters or removing a low table meant a person stopped tripping while walking through their home. A clear example is Mr. Richard, an 81-year-old man I treated some time ago. He had the habit of placing small side tables in the living room where he left his glasses, books, or the remote control. The problem was that every time he stood up from the armchair, he ended up tripping over one of those tables. After 2 falls in a row, his family decided to remove the low furniture and leave a clear space in front of his armchair. From then on, Mr. Richard regained confidence when moving. He told me with relief, "Now I feel the house lets me walk, not that it sets traps for me." Lastly, I want to insist on something. Do not be afraid to prioritize safety over aesthetics. Removing a table or anchoring a piece of furniture to the floor may change the look of the home a bit, but what is at stake is the autonomy and peace of mind of the person who lives there. The third change I recommend is clear. Make sure your furniture is not an obstacle but an ally. Remove what gets in the way, add firm supports where they are most needed, and choose safe, stable chairs. These small adjustments not only reduce the risk of falls, they also offer confidence, because walking without fear inside your own home is one of the most valuable freedoms you can keep. The role of exercise in prevention. Safety inside the home does not depend solely on fixed rugs, good lighting, or well-placed furniture. There is a decisive factor that comes from the body itself, strength and balance. An adapted home helps a lot, but if the legs do not respond or the body loses stability, the risk of falls remains. As the years go by, muscles naturally weaken. It is a process called sarcopenia, a progressive loss of muscle mass that begins around 50 and accelerates after 70. That means that each year, if we do nothing, we lose strength, coordination, and reaction capacity. And the weaker the legs, the harder it is to stay on our feet when we stumble. That is why exercise is one of the best medicines against falls. It is not about training like an athlete, but about doing simple movements that strengthen the legs and reactivate balance. Exercises such as standing up and sitting down several times from a chair, raising the heels to stand on tiptoe, or walking in a straight line while holding onto a wall are very simple routines, but extremely effective. Dedicating just 10 minutes a day to this kind of practice can make an enormous difference. I want to tell you about Mrs. Isabel, a 75-year-old woman. She had lost confidence in walking after tripping twice in her kitchen. She had not suffered serious harm, but every time she tried to move, she felt she could fall at any moment. When she started working with me, she agreed to a very simple plan. Stand up from the chair without using her arms, walk slowly with firm steps, and practice balance by standing on one foot, always near a wall. At first, she got tired quickly, but little by little, she regained confidence. 3 months later, Mrs. Isabel told me something that moved me. I no longer walk with fear. Now I walk with desire. The relationship is clear. The stronger the muscles, the lower the risk of falling. Balance can be trained, just like strength. And no matter the age, there is always room for improvement. The secret is consistency and understanding that each repetition is an investment in independence. Exercise not only protects against falls, it also strengthens the heart, improves mood, and helps you sleep better. But in this context, the most important thing is that it turns your legs into a firm support, capable of responding to any unexpected stumble. A safe home begins in the body of the person who lives in it. Critical areas of the home. Although the whole home can hide risks, there are places that concentrate most falls. They are critical areas where a moment's inattention can be costly. Identifying them is the first step to protecting yourself. The bathroom is, without a doubt, the most dangerous place. Water turns the floor into a slippery surface, and every movement becomes less secure. Getting in or out of the shower, standing up from the toilet, or simply washing your hands can cause an accident. The most effective solution is simple. Install grab bars near the toilet and inside the shower, and place rubber anti-slip mats that adhere well to the floor. It is also advisable to have a sturdy plastic stool to shower sitting down if you get tired. The kitchen is another critical area. Here, spilled liquids, grease on the floor, or dropped objects become invisible traps. I have seen many falls caused by a simple glass of spilled water. That is why it is essential to clean any spot immediately, wear shoes with anti-slip soles, and keep the space clear. It is also wise to store everyday utensils in accessible places to avoid climbing on stools or overreaching. Stairs and curbs inside or outside the home are another major risk. Even a single step can catch you off guard and cause a stumble. Here, handrails on both sides are indispensable. Outdoors, it helps to place anti-slip strips on stair edges and keep them well lit at all times. A fall on the stairs usually has more serious consequences than in any other part of the home. The best part is that many of these solutions do not require large expenses. Rubber mats, grab bars, and anti-slip strips are affordable and easy to install. It is not about remodeling the entire home, but about investing in small changes that provide daily calm and safety. In short, identifying critical areas is opening your eyes to the real enemy. The bathroom, the kitchen, and the stairs are not secondary places. They are the settings where the most lives are changed by an accident, and with a bit of foresight, they can be transformed into safe spaces where you can move without fear. The human factor. Habits that cause falls. So far, we have talked about changes in the home, but there is something we cannot forget: the habits of the person who lives in it. Because even if we adapt every corner of the home, if we keep unsafe habits, the risk of falls will remain. One of the most common mistakes is getting up too quickly. After sitting or lying down for a while, blood pressure can drop suddenly. This is called orthostatic hypotension. The result is brief dizziness, just enough to lose your balance and end up on the floor. The recommendation is simple. Upon waking, sit on the edge of the bed for a few seconds before standing. Allow your body to adjust to the change in posture. Another dangerous habit is wearing inadequate footwear. Many older people prefer to walk around the home in loose sandals, overly soft slippers, or even barefoot. The problem is that none of these provide the support and grip needed. A closed shoe with a rubber, non-slip sole can prevent more falls than any other change at home. It is a small investment with a huge impact. It is also risky to walk while carrying things in your hands. Sometimes it is small objects like a book, and other times trays with food or glasses of water. The problem is that when your hands are occupied, you lose the ability to brace against a wall, hold on to furniture, or react in case of a stumble. Ideally, use trays with firm handles, small carts with safe wheels, or simply ask for help. And here's another key point: learning to ask for help when necessary. Many older adults feel that asking for support is a sign of weakness, but the truth is that asking for help is an act of wisdom. No one loses dignity by recognizing a limit, but you can lose independence if a fall leaves you bedridden. I remember Mr. Albert, an 80-year-old man I treated at the clinic. He had the habit of carrying a bucket of water from one end of the home to the other because he said he did not need anyone's help. One day he slipped and ended up with a wrist fracture. After rehabilitation, he humbly accepted that a simple, "Could you give me a hand?" would have spared him months of pain. Everyday oversights, like rushing to answer the phone, climbing onto a chair to reach something, or hurrying through the kitchen, are often the ones that cause the most serious accidents. Prevention also involves changing those small behaviors that seem harmless, but in practice, make the difference. My advice is simple. Move calmly, wear the right shoes, keep your hands free whenever you can, and do not hesitate to ask for help. Safety begins with conscious decisions, and every safe habit is one more step toward an independent, peaceful life. Adapting the home without spending too much. When we talk about adapting the home to prevent falls, some people imagine major renovations, expensive work, or complicated installations. But the reality is that you do not need thousands of euros to make a home safer. With creativity and small adjustments, you can achieve effective changes within anyone's budget. One economical option is to use solar lights or portable lamps with motion sensors. You can place them in hallways, on stairs, or even in the garden. These lights charge during the day and turn on by themselves at night, avoiding the risk of walking in the dark. They are easy to install and do not require wiring or constant electricity. You can also improvise grab bars without spending too much. Some sturdy tubes or recycled handrails can be fixed to bathroom or hallway walls to offer a point of support. They do not have to be stainless steel or have a sophisticated design. What matters is that they are well anchored and can bear the person's weight. Another strategy is simply to reorganize spaces. Sometimes it is enough to remove unnecessary furniture, move a sofa, clear a hallway, or store items on more accessible shelves. Order is a powerful tool against falls. A clutter-free home reduces stumbles and makes movement freer and safer. And here, I want to highlight an important truth. The cost of prevention will always be much lower than the cost of repair. A fall can mean hospitalization, surgery, medication, and months of rehabilitation. All of that not only costs money, it also costs time, pain, and in many cases, autonomy. In contrast, investing in a couple of anti-slip mats or good footwear is a decision that protects both your finances and your health. I remember the family of Mrs. Julia, a 77-year-old woman who lived alone. Her children could not afford a complete renovation, but they did make small changes. They bought low-cost nightlights, secured the rugs with adhesive tape, and placed an improvised handrail on the entry steps. Weeks later, Mrs. Julia confessed that her home felt friendlier. Best of all, a month later she stumbled on a step, but thanks to the handrail, she managed to hold on and avoid the fall. That simple detail saved her from a serious accident. In conclusion, you do not need to spend much to protect yourself. The important thing is the willingness to look at the home with fresh eyes and make practical adjustments. Prevention does not depend on the amount of money invested, but on the wisdom with which decisions are made. An attentive family and a few simple changes can make the difference between an unsafe home and a space where you can grow older with confidence. Nothing illustrates the importance of preventing falls better than the real stories of those who have lived through this experience. They are accounts that accompany me every day as a physical therapist, and that show that the changes we have discussed are not theory, but realities that transform lives. I think of Mrs. Rose, 76 years old. 2 years ago, she suffered a fall in her living room after tripping over a low table. After a long recovery, her family decided to apply the 3 changes we have explained. They removed the rugs, installed nightlights, and reorganized the furniture, placing grab bars in the bathroom. Today, Mrs. Rose walks with much more confidence. When I visited her, she told me with a smile, "Now I feel my home is mine again, not a trap." Another case is Mr. Philip, 80 years old. He, on the other hand, decided not to change anything. He said he had lived that way his whole life and did not need to change. One night he got up at dawn, walked down the dark hallway and fell to the floor. The hip fracture he suffered forced him to depend on a wheelchair. His family, sadly, recognized that a simple plug-in light could have prevented the accident. I also remember the family of Martha, a 73-year-old woman who lived in constant fear of falling. Her children, concerned, installed motion sensors at the entrance, cleared the hallways, and bought proper footwear for her. The change was immediate. Martha went back out to the garden and moved around her home without fear. One of her children told me, "It was not only that we avoided falls, we got Mom back." These testimonies show 2 sides of the same coin: those who adapt their home and gain confidence, and those who resist change and end up facing painful consequences. And I repeat with absolute clarity, these stories are not theory, they are reality. Behind each name there is a life, a family, and a future that could have been different with simple decisions. At this point, beyond practical advice and precautions, I want to pause on something much deeper: autonomy and dignity. Because growing older does not mean giving up living with safety and freedom. It means adapting in order to keep being yourself. Living in fear of falling is like walking with a permanent shadow. Every step is marked by doubt, every movement by insecurity. That fear steals joy, limits independence, and, in many cases, locks people into a kind of invisible prison inside their own home. But prevention changes that reality. A safe home is more than a place free of obstacles. It is a space that gives back confidence. When a person knows there is a firm grab bar in the bathroom, that the hallway is well lit, or that there are no low pieces of furniture that can trip them, they feel free to move. And that freedom is autonomy. Safety in this sense is not only physical, it is also emotional. Knowing you can walk calmly inside your home, stand up without rushing, go to the bathroom at night, or simply move from one room to another without fear strengthens self-esteem and gives a sense of control that is fundamental for dignity in older age. I want you to keep this phrase: a safe home is a home where you can keep being yourself. Because every bar installed, every rug removed, and every safe habit is not a sign of frailty, but of intelligence and self-respect. It is not surrendering, it is choosing to live with confidence. Fall prevention is neither a whim nor an exaggeration. It is a powerful tool to prolong independence, protect health, and above all, keep dignity intact. Because what is most valuable is not only living more years, but living them with the freedom to move without fear inside the place you call home. We have walked an important path together. We began by understanding the true danger of falls at home and discovered that in most cases, they are not simple accidents, but preventable events. Then, we reviewed 3 essential changes that can make the difference between a home full of risks and a safe home. The first was the floor. Secure rugs, clear hallways, and choose proper footwear. What seems like a small detail is, in reality, a decisive step toward walking safely. The second was lighting. Because darkness can hide traps, but a well-placed light illuminates the path toward confidence. Night lights, motion sensors, and accessible switches are simple allies that can save you from an accident. The third was furniture and supports. Rearranging furniture to open space, installing grab bars in the bathroom, placing firm handrails, and choosing stable chairs. With each adjustment, the home stops being an obstacle course and becomes a space that protects you. These changes are not complicated and do not require large investments, but they do demand something far more valuable: the will to care for yourself and those you love. Because prevention is not only about avoiding an accident, it is about protecting the future, preserving independence, and living with dignity. As a physical therapist, I've seen too many lives change in a second because of a fall that could have been avoided. And I have also seen how small adjustments gave back calm and confidence to many older adults. That is why today I want to leave you with a clear message. Do not wait for an accident to react. Do it now. Check your home, identify the risks, and begin to turn it into a safe place. I invite you to reflect. What is your home like right now? Could you trip over a rug? Is there enough light in the hallways? Do you have a firm support in the bathroom? These questions are the beginning of a change that can spare you great pain in the future. And now I would like to know you a little more. Tell me in the comments, how old are you and where are you watching from? Share your experience as well. Have you had a fall, or do you know someone who has? Your testimony can help others become aware and protect themselves in time. If you found this video useful, I invite you to give it a like, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel to keep receiving tips that can make a difference in your life. Remember, a safe home is the best gift you can give yourself and your loved ones, because at the end of the day, what matters most is not only living longer, but living with confidence, freedom, and the peace of knowing that your home is a place that takes care of you with every step.